Hello and welcome to Epiphytic Cacti. Today I figured we would talk about the Schlumbergera hybrid, Happy. Happy, I'm actually fairly certain is a hybrid from Enigma. Enigma is very strange in that its flowers are completely kind of erratic, and this one inherited more of the segment, the clade shape of Enigma. It's got these really cool kind of elongated clades where the points actually kind of point every which way. They're unique, they're a little bit different looking, and you can tell by looking at the plant that there is something strange about its clade shape just in general. You know, it's elongated, it's kind of strange looking. However, I really love Schlumbergera hybrids that have those kinds of clades. I think they're just absolutely cool. It brings a level of, I think, absolute stunning elegance to a plant. And this hybrid I purchased earlier this year from Witten's Greenhouses. I want to talk about the buds for a second because, you know, I had a little bit of a moment with this hybrid where there was just a fleeting moment where I almost didn't like it. And let me explain how this happened. So it is super weird for a Schlumbergera hybrid to come out and have a bud color and then have it drastically change. And what happened was this guy came out and he had this kind of like light orangish sort of bud color. I had actually assumed that that's what the flower would look like. You know, I was wrong, because what ended up happening was as time kind of went on and the bud became more and more formed, and these buds are very strange looking when they form, but as it formed further and further, it started getting darker and darker and darker. And it happened so fast that it went from, you know, that kind of really a color that I was very fond of, which was this kind of light orange, to this very dark color that you see in front of you. It just took a second for, I think, my mind to adjust and catch up with it and then recognize how beautiful the flower actually was. Now when I look at it, I'm like, what a cool thing to have like a light orange bud to only open to like this crazy, intense, dark, I mean, this is a very dark orange. I would not call this red. It is a very dark orange to me. So let's kind of take a closer look at this flower because there are some really interesting oddities with the flower as well. And so here we go. We get like right up in here and we can see this flower, and you know, it might be coming across as red, I think, on screen, but it is orange. It is just a very dark orange. It's very much a reddish orange color. You can see here, like in this, the back petal part, they're all different sizes, they're all different shapes. And what you see a lot of times here is these kind of weird like tubes. Let me see if I can turn this around. There you go. So you can see that this petal is actually like kind of mutated, and it's turned into something that is a lot more of like a tube. Sometimes they appear as though they're just kind of like curled petals. But in this case, this is not, it is a tube. It has no opening, like as in the petal curled. You can see here too, you know, that guy, there's no opening. It's just kind of a strange tube. So a lot of times the petals kind of mutate, those back petals mutate into something like that. And it's really interesting looking. You can see the shape of the front petals is just kind of haphazard. It's almost kind of like it's trying to swirl or something. It doesn't have a lot of curvatures, and like the front petals aren't bending back super far. The tube of these flowers is a little bit longer, you know, so it's just a very curious, very kind of strange looking flower. I'm glad that in my area, these guys, look at how weird that is. Isn't that just weird looking? That little rogue petal back there. I think that it's super fitting that these guys are blooming closer to Halloween, because to me, they're very Halloweeny. You know, they kind of remind me of like The Nightmare Before Christmas. Is very much like if Tim Burton was to grow Schlumbergera, I'm pretty sure he'd grow these guys. You can see, this is head. Okay, just kidding, I can't do that. How cool is that? And this flower hasn't really opened yet. And you can see like as it's opening, you know, they do start to look a little bit more normal, but they never really get to actual normal. Much like Fortuna, I don't know if you can see that in there, but you see its stigma coming out there. The stigma as well is kind of buried down in there. The stigma is not as long as it is on other flowers. You can see this guy, it's tucked away. It's like right there. There's also something else about these stigma, which I don't know if we can get this guy to focus. I wish it would, because it's really interesting looking. That may be as much as we can get, but you will notice that it doesn't really have like the little phalange. It does, but they're so short and like stumped. So the little fingers that actually kind of come out like this that most of the stigma have, they're not really there. So that's really curious. That's kind of a strange mutation, something I've never really seen in a Schlumbergera. It's weird that I didn't notice that for a while, you know, that the stigma was just kind of missing on these or was just buried so deep that you couldn't really see it. So another strange anomaly in a plant that seems to just be full of anomalies. There was a reason, I believe, why they named the original one Enigma, because it seems to defy reason, really. And I think its hybrids are also defying reason. I hope that you have enjoyed the Schlumbergera hybrid Happy as much as I have. Thank you for watching, and happy cacti growing.